Here are the best methods for teaching language to high school students. So high school students can be a little bit tricky because they're not children, so you don't want to teach, obviously, topics for children like colors or numbers and stuff like that. But they're also not adults, so it can be difficult to talk about, more adult things like banking or buying a house or stuff like that. So you have to kind of, there's a middle ground with high school students. So here are some of the things that I like to do with them in my own classes. The first one is task-based learning. So this is where students have to complete a task of some kind, and they can kind of go at their own pace and focus on what they want to learn. So some good examples of tasks that I might use with high school students are to plan a class party or to plan a trip on the summer vacation. They can do that alone, or generally I like to do that kind of activity in groups, and then they can do a little presentation in front of the class. The second idea I have for high school students is debate. So choose some controversial topics and then get students talking about it, sharing opinions and ideas, and supporting those reasons with evidence and facts. I also like to use songs and podcasts and movies and TV show clips in my classes with high school students. So I won't watch an entire movie in a class. I find that quite difficult, and most students will end up sleeping by the end of that class. But if you show little clips or maybe a 5 or 10 minute podcast, I like to give students questions that they have to answer, and then it can lead into some nice discussion after that. Something else that high school students really enjoy is learning about slang and idioms in English. So chances are almost no textbooks have the up-to-date slang that people are using, but if you can do a lesson on that, it can be quite fun for students. Another thing I like to do in my classes with teenagers and also adults is board games. So you can make up your own board games, kind of just based on whatever you're teaching students. Some things that work well are the simple past or should or shouldn't, and you can make a little grid and then make some little questions and stuff like that on your paper. Or if students are a little bit higher level, I like to bring real board games into my class. For example, Settlers of Catan or King of Tokyo or something like that. And I like to teach the students how to play, and then we just have some board game classes every once in a while. But I make it the requirement that students have to speak English while they're playing with each other. And then I teach them some vocabulary related to that. For example, pass the dice, it's your turn, etc. Another idea I have for teaching high school students is games in general. So even though high school students seem like maybe mini adults in some ways, in the fact that they can kind of sit still for a while and maybe do some more serious kind of reading lessons or something like that, I like to mix up a game into my lessons almost every class. So we might do some more serious stuff at the beginning, but then I like to end with a game to kind of reinforce what I've been teaching that class. And the final idea I have for teaching language to high school students is to use a lesson plan. Always use a lesson plan. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So I like to start with kind of setting the context, which is a little icebreaker or an introduction to whatever I'm teaching. Then maybe introduce some language and then have some controlled practice and then some freer practice, and then maybe ending off with a game. So that is a very general overview of how I would plan a language lesson for any age or level. Okay, so that's it for my ideas for teaching language to high school students. You might really like my book, 101 ESL Activities for Teenagers and Adults. If you like this video, please hit like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Also, if you want to support this channel, please be sure to check out membership options.